Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I will be targeting halibut off the banks of the mud flat in the Bay Area. I am targeting the north side of the bay today because I am anticipating that with the warmer weather that the mud flat will be warm enough despite it being extremely shallow in order to target halibut. The lure and bait of choice today I will be using is the glide capture method with a dual BR fish. Again, I have demonstrated this technique in the past and I will be fishing this on a medium spinning rod setup. My preference is to fish this on a medium spinning rod setup, 7 foot to be exact, with a 3000 size reel loaded with 20-pound braid and a 10-pound fluoro shock leader by Sunline. The area I am targeting today is the north side of the Bay Area. The reason I am targeting this side, despite it being extremely shallow during the slack tide on the outgoing tide, is because this shallow water will attract spring halibut despite it being only roughly about 3 to 4 feet. I ended up getting bit and I knew that this was not a halibut but a diaper striper. There are quite a handful of these diaper striper that will hang around on the north side of the bay this time of year. The keeper size fish I find will tend to hang around the south side of the bay, but I am not looking for striper this time of year because I am trying to look for a halibut. Today, however, was everything that could go wrong went wrong. I'll show this little guy to you guys real quick and off you go, little dude. Originally, today's episode was going to be a topic on live anchovies underneath a float. However, when I woke up today, I ended up waking up late and didn't want to drive into the heart of the bay to purchase live anchovies from the bait receiver. So instead, I opted to target halibut today with artificial. I ended up getting bit and I knew right away that this was a halibut. However, today I couldn't catch a keeper halibut, which was 22 inches in the state of California. I could not land a keeper fish to save my life. However, I was catching these undersized shaker butts, as many would call them, and I knew right away that they were indeed here in this area. The most popular way to catch halibut in the Bay Area in general is with live anchovy or tray bait anchovy. I'll show this little shaker halibut to you guys real quick and I'll let him go. He is very pretty nonetheless, and I knew right away now that there were fishes in this area. Alright little guy, thanks for playing, off you go. One of my favorite ways to target these Bay Area springtime halibut is indeed with soft plastics. A lot of anglers don't have much faith in soft plastics here around the bay when it comes down to halibut fishing and will often use live bait, but I have caught quite a handful of keeper size halibut and my personal best, which was about 33 inches, with soft plastic. So I have confidence that they will work. I ended up getting bit and I knew right away that this was not a halibut but another diaper striper. For some strange reason, during the spring, these diaper stripers will hang around here in the North Bay. This was a small fish, but he somehow managed to release himself, so off you go, little guy. Today was an extremely tough day, however, and I really did end up regretting not driving into the heart of the bay to purchase live bait. I couldn't catch a keeper halibut to save my life today. For some strange reason, I found out that the keeper size fishes just didn't want to chase anything today. For the most part, when I got bit today, it was either a diaper striper or in this case, I ended up hooking into a jack smelt. Yes, these guys are very voracious and will attack soft plastics quite heavily around the Bay Area. Again, some folks really hate these fishes, but I think they're pretty cool because they're really silvery and they got that tint of yellow on the gill plate. They're really gorgeous and pretty fishes. I particularly do not like eating these fishes because they have quite a bit of worms in their meat, but some folks do like eating them. Alright buddy, off you go. The water was extremely clear, and the reason I am targeting this extremely shallow muddy area is because in the springtime, a lot of halibut will congregate around the shallow mud flat. If I'm fishing in an area and it has a bit of riprap, but it's touching mud, that is the area I want to target. I don't want to target an area that has heavy vegetation because most halibut will avoid those kind of areas during this time of year. I ended up getting bit and I knew right away that this was a halibut. However, to my disappointment, this was another shaker halibut. For some strange reason today, the water was extremely clear and I did manage to see a handful halibut near the bottom, but I was unable to entice any of them to grab this jig and this soft plastic, which was extremely annoying, but somehow all these shakers were quite active and participating. I'll show him to you guys real quick because he is another little shaker halibut, very pretty nonetheless. Alright little fellow, hopefully I catch a keeper halibut. I know now that there are fishes in this area because after walking around this riprap, I did manage to spot 2 keeper halibut near the mud. The water is extremely clear, so with my polarized glasses, I did notice that there were some fishes in roughly about a foot to 2 feet of water. Every time I got this bait near them, they would just scuttle away, thus making me regret my decision not to drive into the heart of the bay to the bait receiver and purchase live bait. As a bank angler, these shallow mud flats in the spring are your best opportunities to target a halibut successfully, especially without getting on a watercraft such as a kayak or going on a charter boat. I got bit again, but this was not a halibut, this was another diaper striper. For some strange reason, in the spring period, these diaper striper really like to congregate around this shallow clear water on these mud flats. I don't really know why they're here, but for the most part, they are participating, and you never know whether or not the next bite will be a halibut. So I'll show him to you guys real quick because he is very bright and pretty nonetheless. Alright little guy, thanks for playing, and off you go. Ultimately, I came to the realization that I failed miserably today. I should have went to the bait receiver and purchased live bait. Because there were halibuts in this area after all. They were just not participating. The tide was receding fast and I knew that the bite window was ending. So I wanted to see if I could get another bite, and I did. This was another shaker halibut, thus ending my disappointing day. And the decisions I've made today really made me regret not going to the bait receiver to get live bait. There were some keepers in the area, but they were just not participating. But I felt as if I had live bait, they probably would have. I ended up landing this shaker halibut, and I'll show them to you guys real quick. There were quite a handful of these around, and some bigger guys, but the bigger fishes just weren't participating on chasing the lures. Off you go, dude. Overall, I really regretted not bringing out the live bait today. Today was just one of those days where I couldn't buy a bite to save my life, especially to catch a keeper halibut. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, tight lines y'all.